The hardest part of an injury is not the injury itself. It's getting back to where you were before the injury. I've had ankle, knee, wrist, shoulder, neck, back, nervous system injuries, and more. I've seen so many doctors and physical therapists, I can't even count them all. Some of their methods worked, some didn't. Most of the treatment never lasted over time. Later, I learned the job of a physical therapist is not to get you back to optimal function like I had previously thought, but rather in most cases, it's to just get you back to basic function, not high performing function like I had before I got injured. And that actually made sense based off what I experienced with physical therapists. I followed bad advice and I followed good advice at the wrong time. And I've made almost every mistake you can make trying to come back too fast. Just when I started to pick up momentum, I would go back to level 1 all over again. In the moment, it felt great, but the next day, all I had was regret. And I couldn't understand why it kept happening because at the time, everything felt easy. And many of those times, I was simply following the physical therapist's prescribed plan. What finally changed things was not a new exercise, it was understanding which phase of my recovery journey I was actually in. What took me over a decade to learn was this. Many times I thought I had recovered, but in actuality, the injury would just resurface itself later. In short, my body was compensating in ways I didn't realize until it became a problem. Because your body is smart, if it needs to do a certain task and one body part is not working properly, another body part will take its place and help it out in order to perform that task successfully. However, it was not designed to do that job long term. So this is when issues arise. After an injury, weaknesses often that were overlooked before become limiting factors. They may not be the source of the injury themselves. However, they are absolutely critical if you want your strength to come back at a high level. So instead of guessing, I want to show you the roadmap so you know where you are, what matters right now, and what you actually need to work on to move forward without setbacks. To recover from an injury and regain your strength, you need to know the phases. Each phase has a specific job, and most setbacks happen when you skip a phase, you move through a phase too quickly, or you use the right tool at the wrong time. This video is not about specific exercises. It's a roadmap so you can stop being a guinea pig and start making real progress again. The first phase is the injury itself. This is where something has been overloaded, irritated, or damaged. And yes, this is where rest matters. However, rest is basically just damage control. In most cases, resting an injury does not mean resting the entire body. But often, when staying active in safe ways, it speeds up recovery on multiple levels. Resting the injured area usually only lasts long enough for you to be able to move it again safely. And the severity of the injury determines how much rest is actually needed. This phase is about letting things calm down and the body to repair itself in order for it to resume activity again without causing more damage. This does not mean resuming training like nothing ever happened. The biggest mistake people make in this phase is not resting at all or resting too long. This is where most people get lost. They think that once pain starts to decrease, their job is to stretch it and to load it heavier. But the real goal in this phase is rebuilding tolerance. Tolerance is teaching your nervous system that movement and light load are safe again. It is not increasing strength and it is not increasing flexibility. Most people rush through this phase, and that is why it is the number one reason why pain comes back for people, or they get re-injured, or their body feels as if it is re-injured, even though it is not. Their nervous system is acting as if it is. In the end, the result is the same. You go backwards and have to start all over again. If you're not sure which phase you're actually in, I put together a self-assessment and simple roadmap that will help you stop guessing and focus on what matters most so you can take action right now. You can find that link in the description below. I made an entire video on tolerance alone because it is that important. I'll link that in the description as well if you want to go deeper in the subject. Once tolerance improves, you can start regaining your range of motion and start loading that range. But that range should not be forced into. You're just touching discomfort, not pushing through pain. This is not aggressive stretching. It's just controlled movement through the range that you already have. Over time, you gain a little more range each session. Your nervous system will open up additional range as it is ready to. This is where you're teaching your joints and your muscle tissues that it can handle load throughout the entire range of motion, not just in the middle. This phase prepares you for real training again. This phase is massively underestimated. It has two parts and both accelerate recovery and build your capacity. The first is muscular endurance. It improves your recovery on a cellular level, and because the loads are light, it allows you to add more volume, building your capacity without flaring anything up. You can do this by having lower intensity by performing 15 or more controlled repetitions and leaving at least 2 repetitions in reserve. The second is long duration aerobic endurance. It increases capillaries in the muscles being worked. More capillaries means increased blood flow, and increased blood flow means increased recovery times. Recovering faster allows your body to adapt more consistently. The longer you stay sore, the more likely your nervous system is going to flag that previously injured area as injured again. This type of endurance should be low impact. That means if you have either a knee injury or an ankle injury, that running is not the right choice. And if you're trying to improve blood flow to something like an elbow injury or a shoulder injury, using a bike won't help. You have to work the area that you are trying to get blood flow to. So this means that you could use something like a fan bike, or if you don't have access to equipment, you could do shadow boxing. Just be creative. This should feel like zone 2 cardio, meaning you should be able to hold on a conversation. Start with 15 minutes and work yourself up to either 30 minutes or even an hour. If pain shows up again, stop. Don't push through it. Give it 24 to 48 hours, and if there's no flare-up, then go ahead and resume the activity cautiously. This phase is not about max effort. It's about building capacity. And if done right, it will dramatically accelerate your recovery process and allow you to move forward without setbacks. The hypertrophy phase is not about muscle size. It's a bridge into strength training. The loads are heavier than endurance training, but they're still lighter than true strength training. This allows you to do controlled reps while being at a heavier load. However, you're still leaving repetitions in reserve. This phase prepares your body for strength training without shocking the system. It's like slowly walking into the deep end instead of jumping straight in, causing your system to rebound and put its guard back up. Strength is not the foundation, it's the expression of everything underneath it. It's the height of the building supported by the foundation that you built below. Early strength work should be at the higher end of the rep range scale, and it should be generous with the repetitions in reserve. And it should not be overloaded with volume the first few sessions. If you finally made it here, the worst thing you can do is test your foundation by throwing a hurricane at it. If it fails, you would just destroy everything you just built. Just like every phase before this, intensity should increase gradually. That's how you keep momentum instead of destroying it. What helps myself is I constantly remind myself not to destroy a training week by one workout, and don't destroy a training month by one hard training week. Tolerance may be the first phase, but it exists in every phase. And when respected, it allows you to train consistently at a higher level. And over time, it will allow you to build up your capacity to handle more and become more resilient. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that progress isn't linear day to day. Some days you open up the throttle and see what you're made of, and then other days you downshift, lower intensity, and just coast and live to fight another day. That's how you stay in the game for the long haul. In the next video, I'll show you how to bulletproof injured areas and reduce your chances of future injuries. If this roadmap helped you at all, subscribe and walk with us on this journey to reclaim your strength. And if you want help figuring out which phase you're actually in, the roadmap self-assessment is linked below in the description.